Okay, let's talk about The Lies of Locke Lamora. This is absolutely the coolest fantasy book, or just book period, that I have read so far. The world, super cool. The main character, Locke Lamora, coolest character I've read so far. The concept, a band of thieves committing different crimes and just pulling off different jobs, super complex and super interesting and interweaving so many plot lines. Super cool. I don't know why I'm still holding this book. Just had to get that out of the way because as soon as I finished this book, I like put it down and I was raving to my girlfriend because I was just like you guys ever see like a cool heist movie and you're just like that seems so cool, like that's so badass, and then what they do is like it takes so much skill and make it seem so easy, and just I don't know, this book was just super cool all the way through. And one of the main things that I love about this kind of story is that we're following bad guys, right? Like they're not really heroes. They're not like they don't have good motivations most of the time. They are committing crimes. They're a band of thieves. They're fooling people, tricking people out of their money. They're pulling off like elaborate heists, and they really are criminals. But the way that they're written gives them so much life and so much personality, and you see the side of them that is more heartwarming, and you see how this band of thieves really comes together. You see the connection that they have and how they were raised, and you see their backstories, and you really just sympathize with them. I really do think I'm a sucker for following a bad guy who you can sympathize with, because even though you don't agree with any of the things that they're doing, this is a fictional story, and the way that they do it is so cool that I can put those things aside and even be in awe of it a little bit, while admiring the characters and their traits and the goodness in their heart and things like that. And so I just absolutely loved this story. Front and center in this book is Locke Lamora, the title character, and he perfectly exemplifies everything that I loved about this book. He is the conniving thief. He does pull off a lot of bad heists, and he commits a lot of crimes, and he does some things that aren't that great. But he just has this like cool aura around him where I don't know, he's just like easygoing and like suave, and he's really sly, and I love that kind of character. And he's so full of personality, and he's so funny and witty that he's so lovable, you just can't help but like him. And then something that I'll get into a little bit later in the video, with the flashback scenes in the story, you really do get to see a lot of the motivations of Locke Lamora. You do get to see his upbringing, you see his life story, and all of that really helps you to sympathize with him, because you do get to see what he went through in his past, what he's going through now, how he's developed, how he's changed, how he's become a better person. Even though he is a thief and a criminal, you do get to see that he is a good person. And so all of that combined really makes this character really lovable. And like I said, he really just has that like aura of coolness that brings the whole story together, and I don't know, it just pulls together all the characters and really just sets a foundation for the world having that same vibe. So I absolutely think the number one thing from this story, the thing that I loved the most, was following Locke Lamora. But with that said, the supporting characters in this book were also amazing. We're following this ragtag team of thieves, and it's only like 4 to 5 people, I think. And you really get to spend a good amount of time with each of them, and you get to see their personalities, you get to see them interact with each other, and really seeing the side of these criminals where they're in their own home, or they're traveling with their companions and they're just having banter and they're talking about their lives and things like that. You really get to sympathize with them because they are such good-natured people. They're so fun-loving, and they crack a lot of jokes, and they do have this genuine bond, this genuine love for each other, that it's just a great thing to read about their genuine friendship. Especially because later on in the story, you see just the lengths that these characters would go for each other, the things that they would do for each other. You really get to see how much they do mean to each other because of the things that they do, because of the ways that they react to certain events in the story. You know for a fact that these characters would take a bullet for each other and put themselves in harm's way for one another because their bond is so tight. Now, the structure of the story was a little bit strange and took some adjustment because it does have a lot of flashbacks. We do have the main current storyline, but there's a lot of interruptions in between the storyline, and especially a couple times in parts that you really just want to keep reading about the current story. There's interruptions to tell you about a story in the past. But what I really like about these is that they often do connect to what's happening in the present, even though you can't really see at times, even though you might be in the middle of like a fight scene or a particularly intense scene or maybe an interesting conversation, and then it cuts off to this scene in the past and you're like, why is this happening? Like, I was really into that and now we're coming here. But if you do keep reading, you see that it does connect, and I just love the way that Scott Lynch interweaved those, and it really added another layer to the story where you have so much more understanding of what's going on in the present by knowing what happened in the past. Like I said, at first it did take a little bit of adjustment, but to be honest, within a couple of chapters, you get the hang of it and you're in the flow of it. And, you know, honestly, a lot of times I came to enjoy the flashbacks a little bit more than the present timeline. Now, another one of the main reasons that I love this story so much was because the plot was just fantastic. There were so many twists and turns. Scott Lynch doesn't hesitate for a second to take risks with his story, and I think that a lot of them will pay off in future novels, and even paid off now, because with a lot of the risks that he takes, you really get to see the raw emotions of the characters. You really get to see the consequences of people's actions and the consequences of events that happen throughout the story. This really is not a novel without consequence. This isn't like a happy-go-lucky story where you read about a couple of characters and everything's fine in the end. Shit will go down, and it was crazy to read about. It was so entertaining. It was so much fun. It was heart-wrenching. It was gory and amazing, and it was just fantastic writing. And one of the main things that I really did love about this story was how Scott Lynch perfectly conveyed emotion, especially raw emotions, the feelings of anger and revenge, and really just those passionate feelings that people have. Scott Lynch did a great job of writing those emotions, not just through dialogue, but also through character actions. It didn't at all seem unnatural or like it was forced. It all seemed very fluid and organic, and I love Scott Lynch's writing in this book. Now, this next part of the review is going to be spoilers, so spoiler warning, because I have to talk about this. There's no way I can make a video and not talk about this. So spoiler warning for everybody who has not read this book. So if you want to skip to the spoiler free part, just I'm going to add a timestamp and you can skip to this time, and I'll see you guys then. You have been warned. So Scott Lynch really did kill off Kahlo and Galdo and Bug, and for a second there I thought he was gonna kill off Jean too. Like, what? That was so unexpected. And also he killed Barsavi's daughter, Nazca. That was her name. I just looked her up. I am terrible with names, so forgive me. But yeah, Scott Lynch killed Nazca and Kahlo and Galdo and Bug, and damn near Jean too. This book was just absolutely insane. That came totally out of left field. I did not see that coming at all. And really, what I was talking about before, the raw emotions, when you see Locke Lamora dealing with these losses, when you see him avenging Kahlo and Galdo and Bug and killing the Falconer, and you see him, you know, just showing that raw emotion and just those guttural screams and just pure anger and frustration with the situations, that was just absolutely amazing. And I was really just floored with Scott Lynch's confidence to kill these characters. I really did think that this band of thieves was going to stay together for the whole series, and I was really looking forward to seeing some of these characters, which is a little bit sad, but also it brings a layer to this story that we didn't have before, and it was just so heart-wrenching. And now, like, the character development, I'm sure in the next book is going to be even better for Locke Lamora in having to deal with all of these losses, and for Jean too. I'm sure that they'll be brought even closer together because of this. But yeah, that I just had to talk about that because that absolutely floored me and just ripped my heart out. Like, I love these characters so much. Kahlo and Galdo and Bug were so funny. They had such a great relationship. They had such great chemistry among themselves and with Locke and Jean. And the one that you really feel for was Bug, because he was so young. He was still trying to live up to like Locke Lamora and all of the other gentlemen bastards. And you could see that as sort of a mentor, you see Locke Lamora just like shrivel up and just like go through it when they killed Bug, because, you know, Bug was so innocent and he was small. Well, as innocent as a professional thief can be, but he was so young and so naive, and he had like so much life ahead of him. And you see that Locke Lamora as his mentor and as the person that Bug looked up to. Locke Lamora was just like absolutely stunned by this. He was shattered by the loss of these characters. So yeah, I absolutely love this book. I think what Scott Lynch did with this world and with these characters and with the concept of the story was just absolutely amazing. I've never read anything like this, and I've never really seen anything done like this quite before. I've seen other heist movies and other heist stories like Ocean's 11, one of my favorite movies of all time, and I love that he got that concept of a heist and of a band of thieves and brought it into this setting, which is so unique. I really love everything that Scott Lynch did with this story. All right, and that's my review for The Lies of Locke Lamora. I would definitely recommend that you read this, especially if you love heists, especially if you love following the bad guys who you can sympathize with, and if you just want to read about a cool world. Definitely pick this up and give it a read and let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thank you for staying to the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, guys.